Well, if you are a Caitlin Clark fan, if you're an Indiana Fever fan, this is something you already know. However, for the haters out there, the old WNBA fandom, many of you call them the slows. For those fans, they're in complete denial. We've tried to tell people Caitlin Clark moves the needle.
So, get this. Sophie Cunningham just dropped a major bombshell on her podcast. She basically said, hey, the next team I play for, I want a bigger contract so I can actually buy a house and get all cozy. That statement just ripped through the Indiana Fever like a shockwave. This wasn't some casual chat, it was a super clear hint that one of their most vital, unsung heroes is thinking about walking away. The implications are huge, not just for the team roster, but for the whole future of the franchise, especially with their superstar Caitlin Clark, who has completely transformed the league. It's not just about money, it's about the very foundation the Fever are trying to build around their generational talent, and if she leaves, expect absolute frustration from the very top.
So Sophie Cunningham is one of the biggest names in the WNBA. And as well as that, she's also one of the best glue guys, role players in the entire league. Say we want about Sophie Cunningham, she shot 63% true shooting percentage while being a well above average defender. I'm not going to say a great defender, but like well above average defender. She's one of the better defenders on the Fever, and she's like somebody that originally usurped DeWanna Bonner as a starter. And then obviously...
Look, this unexpected announcement immediately raises red flags for anyone who cares about the Indiana Fever actually contending, and honestly, for Caitlin Clark's future success too. Losing Sophie Cunningham, who's known for her high-volume three-point shooting and that invaluable glue guy role, leaves a massive hole. It's not something you can just easily fill. This directly impacts the crucial offensive spacing and defensive stability that Clark totally needs to play her best. Her potential exit signals a huge setback, one that could really derail the carefully built synergy this team desperately needs around their star. This isn't just a small roster tweak. It's a foundational tremor that could shake up their entire competitive outlook.
We've tried to tell people Caitlin Clark moves the needle. Unlike anybody else in this league, or everybody else in this league. It just sort of is what it is. Fans are coming to see one particular player, and along with that, carries over the support to the entire team. Well, Forbes has released a rather very interesting insight report that tells you exactly how much the Indiana Fever's social media engagements are actually monetarily worth.
Now for Caitlin Clark, the stakes couldn't be higher. She came in with so much hype, single-handedly redefining WNBA engagement and bringing millions of new fans to the sport. The expectation isn't just to compete, it's to actually contend for championships. So, losing a proven, low-ego, high-impact player like Cunningham, especially if it's because of some perceived financial mismanagement, would be a tough pill to swallow. It really points to a potential failure in how they're building the roster, which directly hurts Clark's ability to win. You can only imagine the frustration of a superstar whose incredible impact on the league isn't being matched by enough support on the court, and it brings up serious questions about the team's long-term vision.
It does sound like the Fever are not going to keep her. From her podcast, a lot of the time she'd been mentioning the Fever, and in the most recent podcast, she did not mention the Fever, and she said this.
And I think the next team I play for, I want a bigger contract, so then I can buy a house and be homey and cozy.
Okay, that's crazy. It really sounds like she could be headed for Liberty, or maybe even New York City. Sophie Cunningham's on-court value is just undeniable and honestly irreplaceable. Her numbers are great. She boasts an impressive 63% true shooting percentage, combined with a pretty solid defensive game. That actually makes her one of the Fever's better perimeter defenders. And get this, her ability to shoot 43% from three-point range at high volume really stretches out defenses, which creates that critical space for drivers and cutters like Clark. She plays within the system, she's got that winner's mentality, and she famously has an on-court ego that's as close to zero as any professional athlete you'll find. These aren't just stats, they're the hallmarks of a crucial role player who genuinely elevates everyone around her, making her potential departure even more impactful.
Well, Forbes has released a rather very interesting insight report that tells you exactly how much the Indiana Fever's social media engagements are actually monetarily worth, either on X or YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, whatever. I mean, all these posts have a monetary value to them based on engagement. Boy, their posts are worth a lot of money. They are worth a lot of money, and I can tell you right now, that's a little over 5 times higher than the next.
On top of her crucial play, Sophie Cunningham is also a big deal off the court. She's consistently one of the most searched WNBA players, and she even lands lucrative sponsorships, like with Arby's. Her popularity seriously boosts the team's overall brand and how fans engage with them. Yeah, Caitlin Clark is definitely the main reason the Fever's social media is valued at a staggering $55 million. That's 5 times higher than the next WNBA team. But players like Sophie Cunningham really amplify that reach. So losing such a marketable and beloved figure isn't just a roster hit, it's a real blow to the Fever's broader appeal and their ability to cash in on all their newfound stardom.
That they don't want to keep. Like, this is the dumbest thing I think I've seen a team do. Like, genuinely. They traded 4 years of Sinai Rivers, and by the way, the Fever wouldn't have drafted Sinai Rivers. The Fever would not have drafted Sinai Rivers. The Fever are dumbasses. They would have drafted somebody else. But losing Sophie Cunningham for money reasons is not a smart thing to do. Like,
And get this, the potential loss of Cunningham throws some serious shade on past management decisions. Remember, the Fever famously sacrificed the 8th overall pick in the draft, a pick they used on a promising talent, Sinai Rivers, specifically to get Cunningham. That whole move was made to bring in a seasoned, effective player to immediately boost the roster. Now to potentially let that asset just walk away after only 1 season, essentially making her a rental for such a high draft pick. Critics are already calling that one of the dumbest things a team could possibly do. The initial investment made sense for a winning strategy, but the fact that it could all fall apart now points to a catastrophic miscalculation.
They are worth a lot of money, and I can tell you right now, that's a little over 5 times higher than the next WNBA team. 5 times higher. Let's go down here. Just scroll down. The Indiana Fever's staggering $55 million social media evaluation speaks volumes. Now, before we get into this, let me just come over here and let me read this to you so you know exactly what we're looking at. After noticing the growing...
Look, critics are not holding back at all. They're slamming the Fever's management for what looks like a monumental gaffe, trading away 4 years of a cost-controlled draft pick for a player who just 1 season later seems on the verge of leaving because of contract disputes. That's just a baffling decision. This isn't just about keeping a player, it's about smart asset management and actually building a championship contender that can last. The message is clear. Unless Sophie Cunningham is demanding a max contract, which is highly unlikely, given her role, then the Fever have made an unforgivable error. It jeopardizes their entire long-term strategy and totally undermines the immediate competitive window they have right now.
An unpopular opinion, Sophie's better than Lexi. But it's close enough to fair enough Lexi's younger. But I'm like, Lexi's not worth a max either. Like, if you're stuck in a situation where you've got 2 wings that are not max contract players looking for max contracts, you have to pick one or the other, you're kind of screwed. especially because you could have had a cost-controlled Sanaya Rivers for 4 years. At the same time, what are the odds that Steph White would have not developed Sanaya Rivers whatsoever and gave her bench splinters for the...
So, what's really going on here? The core issue seems to be financial. Sophie Cunningham has made it super clear she wants a bigger contract. And honestly, that's a totally reasonable request given how well she plays and how much value she brings. But the thing is, the Fever are facing salary cap constraints and some tough choices, especially as they try to build this team around Caitlin Clark. This creates a challenging dilemma. How do you keep those essential role players without messing up your future flexibility? If the Fever can't or won't meet Cunningham's market value, it signals a potentially alarming prioritization problem within the organization. This isn't just a player leaving, it's a clear message about how the team actually values its key components.
CEO of STN Digital, the valuations of these franchises are increasing dramatically. The ratings on television are better than ever, and I think there's no better time to look at what's happening on social media. Using a model called, quote, social value metric, the study calculated the estimated pay media equivalent value created by organic posts, factoring in impressions, video views, engagements to benchmark what the same exposure would cost through advertising. So in other words, if you paid out...
Plus, adding to all this complexity is the internal comparison with Lexi Hall. Lexi is younger and often seen as a developing wing, but some analysts argue that Sophie Cunningham is currently the better player. So, if both of them are looking for substantial contracts, the Fever are in a really tough spot. The unpopular opinion is that Sophie gives you more immediate addict, but the team might lean towards the younger Hall for future potential. Even if neither of them is considered max contract worthy, this internal tug of war, if they mishandle it, could mean losing a proven veteran without a clear, equally impactful replacement, and that just complicates the team's competitive outlook even more.
She's not, like, KK Timpson, I've watched her the entire year, and you could say, oh, you know, KK could have been, like, she should have been progressing much better if Steph White had played her more. I'm watching her over in Europe. She's not getting better. She's not getting better. Like, she's cooking the bad teams and then looks lost against the good teams. She's not really improving, and that is concerning. That is concerning. And now you're at a stage where, like, you have to realistically keep, like, if you don't keep Sophie.
Meanwhile, further compounding the Fever's wing depth issues is the stagnant development of KK Timpson. Even though there were high hopes for her progression, observers are noticing that Timpson isn't really moving forward at all. She's struggling against good teams in Europe and just isn't showing much improvement. This lack of growth means the Fever absolutely cannot rely on her to seamlessly step into a bigger role if Cunningham leaves. Without Timpson evolving as expected and potentially losing Cunningham, the Fever's wing rotation is going to get critically thin. That leaves Caitlin Clark with even fewer reliable perimeter threats and defensive options, making an already tough situation even more dire.
It's revealed the Indiana Fever led the league with an estimated $55.04 million in social value, 38.73 million engagements, 1.17 billion impressions during the 2025 season. The top 5 teams by social value were the Indiana Fever, Dallas Wings at 8.61 million. That was second, folks. You went from 55 million down to 8.61 million.
The thing is, Sophie Cunningham's mix of shooting, defense, and that incredible selflessness makes her a truly irreplaceable player for the Fever. Her unique zero-ego approach means she'll embrace any role, making her the ultimate team-first player. And that's a rare find in professional sports. Unless the Fever have someone like a Kayla McBride just waiting in the wings, her specific contributions simply can't be replicated. This isn't about finding another scorer, it's about finding a player who genuinely makes everyone else better without needing any of the spotlight. So her departure would leave a void way bigger than just a statistical drop. it would impact team chemistry and overall cohesion.
That will help, and I don't give a damn about this enforcer type shit. What I do give a damn about is the fact that she shoots 43% from 3. She shoots 43% from 3. And shoots it at a high volume, is tough. Plays within a role, plays within a system, and is a winner. Like, is a winner and has I'm not gonna say zero ego, because no.
And what's crazy is the tone of Cunningham's podcast comments goes way beyond just guessing. It strongly suggests she had a conversation with the organization beforehand. It sounds like a player who's either been directly told the team isn't keeping her, or that they just aren't willing to meet her contract demands for the upcoming season. This isn't some negotiating tactic. This is the lament of someone who's already anticipating starting a new professional chapter. Making such a premature public declaration signals a significant breakdown in contract talks, or a clear organizational decision to go in a different direction, and that sends a troubling message about how the Fever manage their vital assets.
Year-over-year increase. They increased engagements by 505%, impressions by 251%, and a social value by 344%. So good God, I don't know where they ranked prior, but they had that much growth and was still, basically $37 million behind the Indiana Fever in second place. Wow. And I wonder where that would be. Look, the Indiana Fever.
Plus, the consequences of this potential misstep ripple through the Fever's entire draft strategy. They invested heavily in getting Cunningham, giving up a really valuable draft pick because they assumed she'd be a long-term piece. Now, if she just walks for nothing, they've basically lost that pick without any real sustained return. Yeah, WNBA teams sometimes don't value draft picks as much, but the sheer scale of this particular loss, sacrificing the 8th pick for what could be just one season of a key player, is an egregious waste of resources. This decision points to a concerning disregard for actually building a future-proof roster around their most valuable player.
They wanted DeWanna Bonner, and they want to free up salary for DeWanna Bonner. But this is concerning, because are they going to keep Natasha Howard? Are they going to get rid of Sophie Cunningham to keep a max contract for Natasha, the offense stops here, Howard? Like, for me, that's just really, really concerning. And I'm worried. I'm really, really worried. Like, because by the sounds of things, this does absolutely sound like a take from a person who has been either knows or has been told they're gone.
Now, get this. A particularly troubling rumor suggests the Fever might actually be prioritizing a max contract for Natasha Howard over keeping Sophie Cunningham. This potential strategic choice is being met with widespread disbelief among basketball analysts. Howard, while a solid player, typically slows down the offense, whereas Cunningham actively helps with ball movement and spacing. Prioritizing a player who disrupts offensive flow over one who seamlessly fits into a modern, fast-paced system designed around Caitlin Clark, that goes against everything we've learned about winning basketball in the last 2 decades. It signifies a profound misunderstanding of how to actually build a team.
And it was surprising. I have to admit, I thought the Chicago Sky would be second because of Angel. I did. And she was 5th. That's interesting. So Caitlin, Paige Beckers, Asia, but we're talking they're way behind. Way behind in monetary value. God, the Chicago Sky was Jesus, but way back there.
The thing is, this potential choice to prioritize Natasha Howard over Sophie Cunningham is being called basketball blasphemy by a lot of people. Modern basketball, especially with a talent like Caitlin Clark, demands shooting, spacing, and versatile, low-ego role players and Cunningham totally embodies that ethos. Howard's playstyle, on the other hand, is seen as way less complimentary, sacrificing one of the league's most valuable plug-and-play pieces, especially if she can be signed at a reasonable rate, not a max contract, for a player who fundamentally alters your offense in a less optimal way. That's a decision that could really haunt the Fever for years, hindering Clark's ability to truly unleash her game.
Against everything we know about the sport of basketball, everything we have learned for 20 years about the sport of basketball will tell you that Sophie Cunningham is one of the most valuable players in the league if you can get her at the right money. And whatever half a max contract, like whatever, not even half a max contract, whatever like a Bridget Carlton's making, you got to match that. You got to match a Bridget Carlton. Like in terms of value, there are maybe 45 more valuable players in the WNBA than Sophie Cunningham.
There's a growing fear that the Fever's past successes were more due to sheer luck than brilliant strategic planning. I mean, drafting Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston, and then the incredible fortune that Boston adjusted her game so perfectly for Clark, along with Kelsey Mitchell's development as an off-ball cutter. Those were all pretty fortunate circumstances. Even the hardship players they signed didn't truly fit that run-and-gun offense. Now with Sophie Cunningham's potential exit, concerns are really mounting that this luck is running out. Without a clear, intelligent strategy, the team's trajectory could quickly just plummet, much to Clark's likely dismay. The summer outlook for the Indiana Fever is now just riddled with anxiety. Analysts fear the team will recruit badly and make some really bullshit decisions with their remaining draft picks and free agency. The concern is that they're not actively building a proper, cohesive roster that truly maximizes Caitlin Clark's generational talent. Instead, they might squander opportunities and alienate key players, leaving Clark in a situation where her extraordinary efforts just aren't translating into team success because of organizational missteps. This isn't just about winning games, it's about validating the immense investment in their superstar. The shocking exit hint from Sophie Cunningham isn't just about a player possibly leaving, it's a loud warning signal reverberating through the entire Indiana Fever organization. If they allow one of the league's most efficient, low-ego, and impactful role players to just walk away, it's a catastrophic failure in management. It directly undermines the competitive window that Caitlin Clark opened up. This move, or the lack thereof, could lead to immense frustration for Clark, who absolutely deserves a properly constructed roster to chase championship. The true value of a player like Sophie Cunningham is immeasurable, and losing her for preventable reasons is an error that could forever alter the Fever's destiny.